Y'all know what's going on. It's time for another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, and welcome to the show, y'all. This is part four of His Home Has Cost Him Out. Now, check this out. When you've been dragged through the mud, and I'm sure some of you have been through that, I have, I'm admitted, I've been through that. But when I got to realizing what was going on and I accepted what was going on, I was able to see things clearer. And it helped me feel stronger. I felt weak in the moment because I was hurt. I was crushed. I've been there. But over time, I developed my footing, I found my strength, and I was able to stand straight upright. And that's what's going on with her. She's starting to stand straight up and she's starting to see things as they really are, not how she wants them to be. See, that's what happens to us a lot of times. We don't see things as they are. We see them as we want them to be. We have this illusion that's going on in our head, and it tells us that if this happens and that happens, everything is going to be okay. And what that does a lot of times, that blinds us from seeing what's been right in front of us the whole time. You remember when I told you about this one guy that had stepped to her and him and had warned them that they need to chill? Well, let me tell you about him, right? This guy, this particular individual, he used to be one of them. He knew all the tricks. He knew all the things that were going on, right? Because he was one of the architects of that lifestyle. He had seen those things happen, and he had even fell victim to the same games, crossed straight out of the game. Now, it was all bogus, of course. And he had an opportunity to come back. He even got stabbed and almost killed by the homies as a result of all the nonsense that was going on. But you know what? He accepted that as his punishment. He was just happy when he woke up in that hospital that he wasn't dead. He walked away from the lifestyle. They begged him to come back after they found out all the bogusness that had taken place. But listen to me. This brother had been stuck 28 times from the top of his head to the bottom of his feet. In his chest, on his back, his buttocks, his thighs, anywhere the knife landed, his face. He had the battle scars, man. He had the battle scars. But somehow it humbled him. He was alive and he was thankful for that. And when he saw her going through that, he knew, based off of, like everybody else was observing how things were playing out, he knew what was happening. And he just wanted people to be free from that. So he warned her and he warned him. And she appreciated that, and that's why she left him out of the whole thing. But she had made up her mind that she wanted her lick back. She wanted vengeance. But you know how that plays out. Revenge is a dish best served cold. It's not a good thing, y'all. So she went back to work the next day. And when she was at work, she asked this guy that I'm telling you about to come to see her when he had a chance. And it took some time because he had a job to do and he made his way around to her. And she told him, she said, I want to thank you for being the friend that you've been to me. She said, I don't know why. I don't know why you've been so nice to me when I've been so mean to you and everybody else. But she said, you always told me good morning. You always told me to have a safe trip home. You always did what I told you to do. And you never complained to me. And you never disrespected me. And when you saw me in trouble, she said, you helped me. And I'll never forget that. And the way she was talking, he looked at her and he said, why are you talking to me like that? Why are you saying all of these things to me? And she told him, she said, I haven't had a man to see me or to treat me like I deserve to be treated. Like every human being deserves to be treated. in a long time. And I wasn't able to see that you were doing that because I was too busy mistreating you and everybody around me. And that opened me up to being manipulated and used by some people. And she said, you know who I'm talking about. She was so disgusted with Cedric that she didn't even want to mention his name again. Right? And she said that didn't happen with you. You treated me right. You saw me. And he said that I've always seen you. And he knew, based on the way she was talking, that it was more to this story. It was more to what she was trying to say. And he said, look, get to it. Get to it. And she told him that she was going to quit. That she had had enough. And that she wanted to do something to hurt Cedric before she left, but she had no idea of what it was. She said she had an idea to go get some of his homies to give her something and not show up and not pay for it, not bring it into him so that they would get him. But she's decided against it. She just decided she's going to leave. She's going to quit without telling him or anybody else what's going on. And she admitted to him that she had written out everything that had happened and left him out and given it to Internal Affairs and the shift captain. And she didn't know when or what was going to happen, but they knew everything. But she knew that she couldn't do this anymore. She had 20 years in, and she wanted to leave while she had a chance to do something else with her life. She had no idea what she was going to do, but she wanted to do something else with her life. She said she wasn't feeling this anymore. So he looked at her and he said, where are you going to go? What is your plan? She said, I don't know. I don't have a plan. All I know is that I deserve better than this. I deserve to be treated better than I've been treated. And she said, it's my fault, a lot of the stuff that has happened, because I cut myself off from everybody, even people out there. She said, I don't have any friends. I got family. They don't live in this state. I haven't been to see them because I've been working. She said, I'm going to go spend some time with my family and see if I can find what I've been missing. She said, I just wanted to tell you that you're the only person. You're the only person that this whole place that I want to know what I'm about to do, and I just feel free to talk to you. So he's staring at her, she's staring at him, and they're staring at each other. And they both know that there's something more that they want to say, but they're not sure if they want to say it. But because of this newfound freedom, she found the courage to say it because she felt as though all these years she had been missing, you know what I'm saying, somebody seeing her, and he's the one that has been seeing her, so why not? So she asked him, she said, what are you going to do when you get out? And he said, I don't know. She said, how long do you have before you get out? And she knew the answer to that because she had looked him up, but she wanted to know if he was going to be honest. And he told her, he said, I got a couple of more years. She said, a couple of more, you mean 3 years, right? And he said, yes, I have 3 years left. And she said, do you have a girlfriend? Are you married or anything else? And she knew the answer to that as well. And he told her no. And he said, why are you asking me that? She said, I'm quitting. She said, I'll be gone in a couple of weeks. I'm turning my resignation in tonight when I leave. So in 2 weeks, I'll be gone. And she said, you're the only person that has ever treated me like somebody. Not just in here, out there as well. She said, I've never had a man to love me. I've never had a man to tell me that I matter. And he said, you do matter. And tears rolled down her face, and she looked at him and she said, when you get out, look me up. She said, I'll write you and tell you where I'm at. If you want to write back, write me back. If you don't. But she said, I'm going to write you just to see how you're doing. And he said, I'll write you. I'll write you. So they ended the conversation. He had to report back to where he lived, his housing unit, and she continued to do her job that night. And as she said to him that night, she turned in her resignation. She gave her 2 weeks' notice that she was leaving. And the shift commander talked to her, and he told her, he said, "Why are you doing this? Why are you leaving?" And she told him almost the same thing that she had told the guy. And she wondered why this was going to play out the way it was playing out. But at the end of the day, she knew that this wasn't going to be the type of ending that she wanted. She was dealing with somebody that she had just told that she was threatened by some things and fearful of turning in, and now he was wondering why she was quitting. So she knew that he probably suspected that she was up to something, but she wasn't. But she just wanted more. He couldn't understand that. He said, "You're walking away from a good life." He couldn't understand what she was going through. She hadn't had a man in her life in the last 10 years, 12 years that showed her that she mattered, told her that she mattered. And he's talking about a job. And she's talking about love. See, that's what happens when you get put in situations like what she's been in. She was looking for love. It had nothing to do with where she worked. It had nothing to do with it. She was attracted to who she was attracted to. And she just wanted somebody to treat her like she mattered. And whether it came from an inmate or a free world person, she didn't care. She just knew she wanted to be free to make that decision for herself. And as long as she worked here, she wasn't able to do that. So that night when she walked out, she felt freer than she had ever felt in her life. She felt freer than she'd ever felt. But it was still work to do. She still had Cedric to contend with. She still had something up her sleeve to get back at him for the pain that he had caused her. So the next couple of days she's coming to work and they're asking her to work overtime. She didn't mind because she wasn't going to be there much longer anyway. She was spending a lot of time talking to him, the guy that had seen her. And Cedric was noticing the attention that she was paying to him. And he started to feel some type of way. She hadn't told Cedric that she was leaving. So Cedric tried to salt him up and tell her things about him that were not true. That he used to be on the hood and that he got ran off the hood and all of those different types of things. She talked to him about it and he told her exactly what had went down. And in the course of him telling her the story about how he had been stabbed and almost died and all of the things that went on with that lifestyle, she asked him, "Can you help me this one last time? Can you help me get back at the people that have hurt me?" And he said, "I'll do it if that's what you want me to do." But he said, "Let me tell you, it's not going to change anything about who you are." See, I got crossed out by my homies. But in the course of me being crossed out by my homies, I learned something about me. That I'm a strong man and I don't need them. I don't have to prove myself to them, even though they hurt me. I could have went back to hurt them. I could have went back and demanded a life for what I had gone through, but I didn't. And I'm telling you the same thing. And the reason that I'm telling y'all this story, the reason that this is important, because I want you to understand when somebody has hurt you, I mean hurt you, beyond words, beyond measure, when somebody has done that to you, you're going to have to ask yourself, is the pain that you want to cause them going to make the pain that you feel go away? Now notice that I didn't say, are you going to feel better? I said, is it going to make the pain go away? And I'm telling you that it won't. And Cuz learned that the hard way. He learned that the hard way. The key to him letting the pain that he felt about his whole situation go away rest in the decisions that he would make about himself, not about somebody else. And that was the same for her. She didn't want to continue to hurt and alienate herself from people. She had to learn and realize that she mattered, and that somebody would find her one day and give her all the things that she needed, but if they didn't, she would be okay. And he talked to her for the rest of that week and the following week, which was her last week, trying to convince her that it didn't matter what she had been through, because at some point she had to accept, and I know a lot of you are going to disagree with what I'm about to say, but at some point she had to understand and accept that the pain that she was feeling was partly due because of the way she saw the world. She had made some choices based on the filter that she was filtering her life through, that made her believe that the individuals that she was engaging her time with were the ones that she needed to be with, without realizing that they had baggage. Now, you got to process another person's baggage like you got to process your own, right? And if you got to process their baggage and your own baggage, most of the time you're going to find out that you can't deal with that. See, I got a lot of things going on inside of me that I got to learn to deal with, and I'm not going to be good to anybody until I deal with that on my own. Now, I can have some help, some therapy and all this and that, but I got to deal with that. I got to learn to deal with that. And that's what I've come to understand about me. And I'm doing that. And I'm doing that. And she had to come to understand that. So what she concluded was she told him, look, tonight's my last night. And I haven't been with a man in a long time. And she said, I don't want to have sex with you. She said, but just kiss me. Kiss me like I matter. Kiss me like you want me. And he got up and he went to the door and he looked. And he locked the door. And he turned off the light. And he kissed her like she mattered. He kissed her like he wanted her. And she melted in his arms. And in that moment, she knew that it wasn't about sex, y'all. It wasn't about that at all. It was about affection, human contact, that desire, that wanting. See, something has to trigger that. For her, she thought, rightly so, that it would be a kiss. You know, we hear this stuff in fairy tales about Prince Charming and all this and that, right? But think about the relevance of that. Think about that. Kiss somebody and they can tell that you want them. That is true if your mind is clear, and her mind was finally clear. Her mind was clear, and his was too. So that night when she walked out of the prison, she knew who her Prince Charming was, man. It was him. And she had 3 years to work on herself, to figure it out. She walked away from all of that nonsense. Cedric, the young homie, cousin them, all of that. The investigation, the undercover investigation, and they ended up locking Cedric and them up, putting them in the hole, investigating and finding all kinds of things out that was going on with them that didn't have anything to do with her, because they did that. The things that happened to them was because of them, not because of her. And when she started writing him her newfound love, she wrote him in a fake name the first year. After she was gone that first year, she wrote him in her name. He has 2 years left. And she walked him down with him. And on his last year, she was sending him money. They wouldn't let her come to see him. She had moved to another state too. And he was flattening out, fortunate enough for him. And she told him, you come stay with me. For 3 years, all she had was a kiss to sustain her and the letters. They didn't even talk on the phone because they wouldn't even put her number on his list. And he refused to get a cell phone, anything that could jeopardize him leaving. He refused to do that. So he didn't even get to hear her voice for 3 years, y'all. Only letters and that kiss. It sustained them. Because their minds were clear. Their minds were clear. When we go through the things that we go through and we get hurt by somebody that did whatever they did, and then we wear that and we take that with us to the next relationship and do all of these different types of things, we get clouded and we end up saying, to hell with it. I want my lick back. She could have done that. She could have taken that other number that Cedric gave her and called the homeboys and got a pack and then didn't take it to him like she wanted to and then blame him for it. And then next thing you know, they would have put him in the rack and she wouldn't have felt any different. She wouldn't have felt any different. She had to do what she had to do to free herself. And she freed herself. And then when he got out, he's speaking and he's going on these speaking engagements and he's sharing his stories about how his homeboys crossed him out. Listen to me. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, you thought the story was about Cedric and the homeboys crossing him out. Nah, it wasn't about Cedric. It was about him. The guy that I haven't called his name. This was about him. The homeboys crossed him out. They stabbed him 28 times, all over his body. All over his body. And then they discovered that he was innocent of the charge and they tried to do everything they could to get him to come back. They apologized. They did everything. He could have asked for the life of the individuals that had him stabbed, but he refused to do that because he was beyond that. Now, I'm going to keep it real. I don't think I want to get stabbed 28 times before I realize that I'm worthy or that I realize that that lifestyle is not for me. But that's what it took for him. But let's look at that metaphorically speaking. See, you don't have to be stabbed, physically stabbed, 28 times from the top of your head to the bottom of your feet before you realize what you're doing is not working. Metaphorically speaking, how many times have you been hurt by the same individual or have hurt that same individual but stayed in that toxic situation? See, gangs are toxic. People talk about my show and say that, you know, Joe, we like what you're saying and we like this and we like that. I do this show because I want people to understand the realities of the lifestyle that I lived. It's brutal. It's dangerous. It's wrong. And it took a lot for me to understand that. It took a lot for me to be able to get the courage up to share and tell you that the lifestyle is not the one you should choose. But I understand why people choose it. They're not thinking with a clear head. Take this opportunity, right, to clear your head. Think about whatever it is that you're going through, whatever it is that you've been through, and ask yourself, are you thinking with a clear head? Yeah. Think about that. God promises us love, power, and a clear mind, man. Use it. This has been another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker.
I'm getting so tired.